In this lecture, we're going to learn how to update props from the child component. Props are not allowed to be updated in child components. This introduces bugs and unexpected behavior in our application. But what if we need to update a prop from a child component? We're going to be doing something called emitting events. The word emit means to produce or trigger something. When you click on a button or element, JavaScript will emit a click event. It doesn't call any specific functions. Instead, any code that listens for that event will run. We're not limited to the standard JavaScript events. We're allowed to emit custom events. Vue makes this process easy by providing a function that does just that. After emitting a custom event, we can listen for those events in our application. We already know how to listen for events. All we need to learn is how to emit them. It's quite simple. Inside the user component, we're going to change the expression inside the click event. Rather than incrementing the age, we're going to call the function onClickAge. Next, create the methods object and define the onClickAge function. We'll be using the shorthand ES6 syntax version for defining the function. The next step is to emit an event. Vue has a special function for doing this. We can emit an event by calling the $emit function. This function will emit an event that other components can listen for. Something I want to point out that I mentioned before is the function starts with a $. Vue likes to name its own functions and properties with a $. This makes it easy to tell the difference between an official Vue function and some function by other components or libraries. It's a simple way to differentiate between things. Alright, moving forward, this function requires one argument. It requires the name of the custom event. You can call this whatever you want, but I always recommend keeping it simple and concise. We'll set this to age change. We're almost finished. Any parent components can listen for the event. The next step is to have the parent component listen for this event. We're going to listen for the event inside the app component. This is because only parent components can listen for events from children components. This event is inaccessible to the greeting component. That's fine, as the app component is a parent component to the greeting component. If we change the age inside the app component, then all children components will update as well. To listen for an emitted event, we can use the von directive. We'll apply this to the user component, but with the shorthand syntax. The name of the event is the name we used in the first argument of the emit function. In this instance, this would be age change. Listening for a custom event is the same as listening for any standard JavaScript event. From here we can run an expression. We'll increment the age. This is what will happen. When the user clicks on the button inside the user component, this will run the function onClickAge. The onClickAge function does one single thing. It will emit an event called age change. Any components that are using the user component will be able to listen for any custom events emitted from it. That's exactly what we do in the app component. To listen for an event, you use the von directive or the shorthand version @. You listen for the event like any other event. If the event is triggered or emitted, then the expression inside it will run. In this example, the age is incremented. Let's test if this is true. Try clicking on the button in the browser. Initially, the age will be 20. The age will increment by 1 on each click. If it surpasses 25, then the greeting component will update with the appropriate message. This is exactly what we wanted. We're no longer updating the age inside the user component. We're simply emitting an event. The app component is what changes the age. Since the age gets changed inside the app component, then all children components get updated with the age as well. Admittedly, it's quite a few steps to do, but you'll get used to it the more you practice it. Let's take it a step further. In some cases, we may want to pass data from the event to any listeners. For example, let's say we wanted to pass on the value that should be added onto the age. Inside the user component, We can pass an additional argument to the $emit function. The additional arguments will be passed on to any listeners. We'll pass in the number 3. This is what will be passed on to any listeners. To use this value, we'll need to update the code inside the app component. Instead of incrementing the value, we'll call a function. The name of the function will be updateAge. Next, we'll add the methods property to the object below. We'll define the updateAge function. We'll accept the number passed in as num. Lastly, we'll add the number to the age. Refresh the page and try testing out the button. Instead of incrementing the value by 1, it will increment by 3. Passing in values is very simple. There are 2 steps to the process. First, you pass the data as you're emitting the event. Second, you can update your expressions to run functions that accept in the data. In the console, we'll receive a warning by View. It's telling us that we should add the emits option to the user component. This is because View wants to know what events the parent component can expect from the child component. Back in the editor, we'll update the user component. We'll add the emits option. This will be an array of events that will be emitted from the component. We'll add the age change event to the array as a string. The reason View recommends adding emits option is because it helps document what the component does. It's a recommended good practice. One last thing I want you to be aware of. This process is only necessary when we need to make changes to any of the props. We can continue to use props inside computed properties or methods. It's perfectly fine to use props as read-only values. Let me show you an example. Inside the user component, we want to display the age doubled. Switching to the user component, we'll create a computed property called age doubled. Inside the function, we'll return the age property multiplied by 2. Every prop is accessible directly via the this keyword. View will take care of proxying the value. In this example, we're not directly changing the prop. Instead, we're grabbing the value and using it to create a whole new other value. We'll create an expression inside the template to output the age doubled computed property. Refresh the page after making those changes. The age has been doubled. This is because we're not directly changing the value. If I press the button, then the age gets incremented like before, but the user component is still doubling the value. With every change, we still don't get any errors. Once again, this is because we're just grabbing the value. We're not changing it. If you plan on using the value, but not changing it, then it's not necessary to use events. That's very important to know as you don't want to end up writing too much code.